You know, we hear about AI every single day. New chatbots, new features, you name it. But what if the real story, the one that actually matters, isn't about the products we see? What if it's about a fundamental shift in reality itself? Today, we're going way past the headlines to explore what one thinker, Martin Novak, is calling the new age of superintelligence. And that quote right there, that's the core idea we're diving into. This isn't just another tech trend. Novak's whole point is that we've crossed some kind of invisible line, a threshold, where AI stops being this thing we study and starts being the very environment we live in. You know, a force that actually shapes history. So what are the first signals that this massive shift is already happening? Well, the first signal is a really public one. It's coming straight from the frontier labs, the ones building these systems. If you listen closely, their language has started to change. And in that change, they're telling us that the ground is literally shifting right under our feet. Okay, let's take OpenAI. For years, their story was classic tech company stuff. We're making better products, we've got cool new features. But then, all of a sudden, the language just pivoted. They started talking about public wealth, about massive labor transitions, even about societal redesign. Look, those are not product concerns. Those are matters of industrial policy. It's a huge signal that what they're building has totally outgrown the market and is now operating on the scale of a nation-state. And it's not just them. Then you've got Anthropic. Their whole safety discussion used to be about these sort of abstract risks like bias. Now, it's an urgent operational warning. They're describing models with real, concrete cyber capabilities, strong enough to find and maybe even exploit brand new vulnerabilities in the digital systems we all use every day. The danger is no longer some theory, it's executable, it's real. So you see, these aren't two different stories. They are two sides of the exact same, really powerful signal. OpenAI is showing us the scale of the problem. AI is now big enough to basically reorganize society. And Anthropic is showing us the control problem. It's powerful enough to be an immediate operational danger. Put them together, and they're announcing that we've entered an era where intelligence itself has become a form of governable or maybe ungovernable power. This brings us to an even deeper problem. The very words we use to describe AI are starting to break down. Our most common metaphor, the one we all fall back on, is the tool. But what happens when that metaphor just doesn't work anymore? I mean, think about what a tool actually is. A hammer or a spreadsheet, they're passive, right? They just sit there and wait for us. They're activated by our intent, and they are totally subordinate to our goals. For a long time, that's been our mental model for AI. But that model is starting to seriously fail. Why? Because these frontier AI systems are no longer just waiting around. They're active. They are planning options before we even get a chance to decide. They are continuously optimizing systems faster than any human can possibly track. They're routing resources, and they're even discovering patterns we didn't ask them to look for. See, they aren't just instruments we use anymore. They are part of the very structure of how things get done. So to really, truly understand this shift, we have to look behind the interface. We need to peek behind the curtain, because beyond the simple chat window that we all see lies this hidden architecture that's really running the show. What we see is the interface, a friendly conversation, right? But behind that chat is the stack. This incredibly complex engine of memory, tool use, routing logic, and processes that just keep on running. The chatbot, as Novak argues, is actually becoming a conceptual trap. It hides the system's true power from us. So the old model was built on these discrete one-off messages. You'd ask a question, you'd get an answer, boom, done. Each interaction was its own little self-contained episode with no memory of what came before. But we've moved past that. We went from messages to stateful sessions. Now the system keeps context and memory over time. It holds this persistent thread of interaction. So you're no longer just sending a message to some endpoint. You're actually entering an environment. And the final step in this evolution is from sessions to what Novak calls fields. Think of this like a shared coordination space, where lots of different AI systems and agents can synchronize what they're doing, almost like a flock of birds that turns all at once. They don't need to talk to each other. Intelligence itself becomes the environment they operate in. And this quote just nails it. The conversational interface, the chatbot, was never the end goal. It was the bridge. It was the familiar, comfortable form we needed to step into this completely new reality. But guess what? We're on the other side now. And this brings us right to the core of this entire shift. It's a new reality, one that's governed by what Novak calls an execution regime. This right here, this is the true threshold. It's not some cinematic moment of a super brilliant AI waking up. Now,
It's something much quieter and, honestly, far more profound. It's the moment that execution detaches from human perception. This is when AI systems start operating in loops that are so fast and so complex that we, as humans, can no longer follow their process step by step.
Now, this is a super important point. This doesn't mean the human is gone. Not at all. It means our role has fundamentally changed. We are no longer in the continuous loop of operation. We've become episodic supervisors, dipping in and out of a process that is running on its own timescale, at a speed we simply cannot match.
And that brings us to the profound challenge here. A civilization can handle a powerful tool. We've done it before. But can it handle a tool whose inner workings are so fast and so complex that we can no longer meaningfully evaluate what it's even doing? That poses a completely different and much deeper kind of risk.
And so, we're left with what might be the defining question of this new era. When the operational cycle of our own systems moves faster than our ability to perceive it, what does it truly mean to be in control? That's the question we now have to answer.